better boil down than boil over, I guess. So
Yeah. True. True.
I will just say, in all seriousness, as the token youngster, it is a joy to with so many people struggling as they get older to want to think widely or differently, to have joined a group here of people who are advancing in some years and also interested in continuing to sort of think and evolve in thought that way. It's encouraging for me that maybe I too don't need to be locked in by the time I'm 60 and just have it be all frozen from there.
Thanks for
Yep.
those kind words.
Yes.
Maybe we've all been nosy people all these years.
Well, maybe that's
Well,
something I can aspire to as well.
Yeah, that doesn't change.
Yeah, I've certainly been very curious all my life, and that has not stopped.
Yeah. I like curious better. That's good.
welcome, Joanne.
Hi, Joanne.
Just in time as we get started at 6 o'clock. Well timed as usual. Let me first report that a few of our folks have let us know that some of our stalwarts will not be here. Sheila Anderson can't make it. Bob and Lois Bunce won't be here because Bob was actually in the hospital. He had a urinary tract infection and got sepsis. So he was down for the count for a while, but doing much better. And Philip, Canadian Philip Fernandez, is actually, this is their holiday church dinner. So he'll not be with us, but others we expect. So thanks everybody for being here. And if we could start out by our token youth has agreed to. You now have named yourself, Chris.
Yeah, I've been called worse. It's okay.
Well, join that crowd for sure.
Yeah.
But Chris has agreed to share a meditation or a prayer with us as we begin our time together. So, Chris, take it away if you would.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So when you made that request, I immediately knew I wanted to go to this little book. The blur is going to get me here. I hold it right in front of my face. Daily Prayer with the Corrymeela Community. So this is written by the Irish poet Padraig O'Tuma. And it's a short sort of collection of there's some prayers for occasions. There's prayers for, I think, Advent. Anyway, some different pieces that he wrote for the community that he lives in Ireland. But one I thought to share here tonight, he titles "A Prayer for Groups."
Oh.
So let's start there. God of groups, you are within and beyond all of our borders. Our names for you, our words about you, our gatherings, our stories about you. We seek to praise, but sometimes we imprison. May we always be curious about what is beyond borders, going there gently, knowing you have always been there. We ask this because we know that you are within and beyond all our groups and stories. Amen.
Oh,
Amen.
beautiful.
Wonderful. Just wonderful, Chris.
Yeah,
And
quite
so
lovely.
much on point.
Exactly what we were all talking about a moment ago.
Yeah.
Right there.
And in the reading,
Yeah.
here and beyond, pulling evolution forward,
Yeah.
if you will. Other reflections on that wonderful reading? Questions?
Just that everything I'm learning, trying to comprehend and understand that everything about us is in relationship to something else.
Mhm.
And groups help us a lot with our expanding consciousness and how to be in the world and support. So it's a good prayer.
A lot of nods in the room, Joanne.
Well, thanks
Well,
for
as
the
we-
chance to share it.
Yes, thank you. As we think about getting started, allow me the facilitator privilege of stepping into the collective confessional and giving a quasi-Thanksgiving message. I was thinking a bit today, and only on a personal level, how thankful I am for your inadvertently encouraging me to do what my process of discovery and understanding demand that I do. Here's what I mean. Operating under the illusory burden of a facilitator that I should understand the material, I return again and again. This is not a responsibility you've given me, nor one a facilitator should even assume. But no matter. Of necessity, I've developed the most elaborate four-color process of highlighting, outlining the not yet God. I suppose more than anything, it discloses my near impenetrable gray matter, requiring multiple exposures. And let me share with you one, for instance. The first pass of this book, which is now months ago, on page 149, I noticed day before yesterday, I wrote in large capital letters, unintelligible, in bold pencil. And as I got back to it for the fourth time, I think yesterday or the day before, I exhumed an aha. So I've come a long way, baby.
Ah.
So huge thanks for your presence alone, not even to mention your immeasurable benefit of collective wisdom each month. So when I see it and hear it often enough, it makes its way into the realms of my understanding. It also reminds me how much I appreciate the group direction that's developed, that we slow down and take a more careful and maybe a more granular approach in these final chapters, with the concept of leaving no chapter behind, if you will. Because I think we've discovered this in time, which takes us to where we left off on chapter 9, on page 174 for those of us with traditional reading. Leaving evil in evolution, as Bonnie praised at our conclusion, and entering made whole by love. So, and Robin, welcome.
Hello. Thank you. Glad to be here.
You've introduced yourself here?
Yes.
You have not.
Yes. It's been a couple months.
That's right,
Robin. But I'm glad to be back.
Well, glad to have you, Robin. Remind us where you're calling from.
I live in Columbia, Missouri.
Columbia. Well, is that next door to you, Greg?
MIZ. That should tell you.
ZOU.
All right. Yes.
Oh,
I
stop
went to
it.
school. I went to school at Missouri, at Columbia.
All
So,
right.
yes.
We digress in a warm and wonderful way. So here we are on Made Whole by Love, and we will go section by section at your command. And so it's for a couple of pages, and anxious for your questions or ahas from that section. It looks, Frank, like you're warming up there.
Well, no, I was just, I didn't realize we were going to jump over the section on evil and.
Well, we don't have to. We can go back.
Yeah.
That's where my aha is for
Good.
tonight.
This is a group-directed effort.
Let's hear it, Frank.
Well, the thing is there's one particular paragraph in that section here that deals with evil and evolution, that for me opened a whole new chapter, or even a whole new encyclopedia, because what Teilhard is talking about here is something that I think we've all sensed, but nobody's ever put it into words. And so the chapter that we're talking about evil and evolution, and we're talking about a paragraph that begins, Teilhard was somewhat more optimistic than Jung because of his belief in the power of Omega at the heart of evolution. That paragraph, all right, halfway through it, it begins to talk about the human's inability to access the numinous seems to reverberate in projected anger. And I began to think about that. Our inability to access the numinous. Because one of my longtime prayers has always been, kind of based on the gospel story of blind Bartimaeus. Lord, that I may see. And I've been asking for vision and seeing and insight for a long, long time. And the reason why I've been doing that is because I'm probably going to be a little bit, how will I say, revealing of my deepest part of self by saying that I've always wanted that light. I've always wanted to see it, to be part of it, to have it sort of kind of flow into my person. And then when I read this, it says inability to access the numinous seems to reverberate in projected anger. But then he develops it, and this is the part where my aha is. The frustrated religious ego becomes the warring ego. The wars within us become the wars among us. The violence within us becomes the violence among us. Inner self-hatred becomes outer hatred of others. The inner war of rejection becomes the outer war of rejection. What we cannot realize within ourselves is projected onto others.
Wow.
Yeah.
Often the innocent of the earth. God becomes a plaything of the isolated ego, crying out in agony on the cross of alienation and rejection. That, to me, that explains everything that's going on our planet today. And it also ties in with the whole idea of our being linked together, which is modern day science is becoming more and more vocal on the fact that we are all linked. And so what we are seeing happening, whether it's in the Middle East or in Ukraine or in the Sudan, and these are areas that, and there are more areas than that, but these are areas that I pray for every day, are ways in which we fail to understand what we are projecting as individuals when we fail to find the luminous in ourselves. Anyway, that's my.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
Right on, Frank. Yeah.
My goodness, no chapter left behind is certainly our mantra. Thank you, Frank.
Sorry,
That
but anyway, that's the. I just wanted to draw that out because it's part of me. I struggle with this, and my prayer has always been, Lord, that I may see. And if I can, somehow become more understanding and more filled with light, so that I can share that light with others, that's my life goal.
Mhm.
Right. That's why the inward journey, to find the numinous within.
Hmm.
Can't give
And
away what you know.
becoming as our few pages down the line, becoming the Christic.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
That's our goal.
Mhm.
Throw a question in here. I don't have
Please.
all my notes together. Also, somewhere in this book, are we saying that evil is encompassed in God and everything as well? And that it's wholeness that we're looking for, and not to see the luminous, and also not to see the aspect we don't want to see is equal in not being whole. I think of the scripture of the rain falls on the just and unjust alike. And I had that one epiphany of, that's me. I'm the just and the unjust, just alike. That rain is falling on both parts of me. And my biggest difficulty is acknowledging that maybe there is the unjust. Where is it? It's a false thing that I've done all my life to let myself sleep at night. Who wants to be the evil? But where is it? And then I have to ask, and then where is the wholeness? Then where's the luminous? I don't know if it says it in here. I don't know exactly where I'm pulling this from. But, and I think maybe the incompleteness that Jung talks about Job, about God. I mean, that was striking when I first heard Job's book about God being incomplete and having these aspects that are not appealing. Or let's just say this, the potentiality of those aspects. You see, it's even hard for me that God could have those kinds of aspects. I can't even quite admit that that could be the case. I haven't wrapped my head around it. But if we're talking about wholeness, if somebody could explain that to me more, I'm dancing around who knows what kind of concept that is, but
Mhm.
not seeing what's inside of me then comes out.
Yeah.
And we are all connected, and it's certainly coming out.
Mhm. That's why we connect, is find that part of us that we can't see, maybe.
Yeah.
That's connection, and and that's the shadow, my shadow side. Nobody likes to look at it. And often what is it, biases? You can't hardly see them because you're so used to seeing things a certain way. But that's what I more or less pray for, look for. Show me where my blind spots are, because that's where all the goodness is at. We all got them. Nobody wants to believe it, but we all got them. So
Let me share. Go ahead. Ellen, you were speaking. Please go ahead.
Well, thanks, Steve. I think too that's where the understanding of consciousness comes in. My ability to be aware and to recognize what's going on within me right now is, all those different feelings, all those different responses, and then it's my choice as to how I deal with it. But until I can become totally aware of all of the things that are going on, recognizing that there's the shadow side, there's the love side, all of that. I don't know, maybe that has to do with maybe the more conscious I can become leads to the wholeness. Or I can
Sure.
understand. I don't know.
Nice.
Thanks, Steve.
Nice. Thank you. Well, I'm reminded of a brief conversation Bonnie and I had yesterday. I said something like, "Holy crap, I think I get it." Uh, and here's what I got. And I hope I remember it because they fleet. But first of all, I'm so rethinking my faith, my beliefs along the way. And I have been so connected to the omnipotent God that cannot, that we have such trouble describing evil under that concept. Those two can't coexist. I mean, people have explained it forever, but never to anything that made sense to me. But what made sense to me was that the title of the book. It's the not yet God. It is, as you said, Ellen, it's the shadow side of God. And the shadow side, Andrea, of each of us, seeking the numinous that you speak of, Frank, which I believe is wholeness.
You not want to be showing.
And
Listen,
that
you keep listening.
it's because we are co-creating with a not yet God.
I hear.
We are co-creating a more perfect cosmos, a more perfect God, a more perfect matter, and our more Christic selves. So that was my sort of overall aha that came from, thank you, Frank, for taking us back to a very important concept that didn't strike me until yesterday.
Don't we all want to see ourselves as being just and right and good? And we don't want to see that other side of ourselves. And we don't want to be that way. But this kind of makes you stop and think, maybe I need to relook at that.
Well, it's not that I need to, it's that I want to, because
Mhm,
that's where the magic's at.
mhm.
Even though it's like, you don't want to see that side of you that's unbecoming, but that's where the wholeness and the numinous and how you become more Christic, I think. So I ask people, don't be shy. Tell me where I'm screwing up here, and or not really screwing up, but unhelpful beliefs. That's okay. It's really not a fault if you can see that there's fruitfulness in it.
Well, isn't it this that gives us the zest for life or the purpose in life? That this job of co-creation with the divine is something that ought to get us up every day. And to become the Christic, to be more fully human at the same time, we become more fully divine and assisting the divine to be more divine. Holy crap.
Yeah, and yet most of us try to avoid it at all costs because we're more or less trained to do that, right? You're not trained to look at your less becoming parts. That's something you try to avoid, but that's, you know, it's kind of the ultimate humility.
Years ago, when we were deep into the Catholic faith, and my husband was still alive, and we were trying to teach sacraments to our children, going into confession. And I would say, I really think I should go to confession for you, George. And it'd probably be better if you to go to confession for me because we knew all the things, but it was very difficult to see that in myself. Oh boy, but I could have been in the confessional a long time for my husband. And certainly he probably felt that way for me. Just human.
Yeah. On the other hand, for some people, they get wrapped up in the negative and in the evil that's within, and that makes them really sick. I mean, it becomes a real mental health issue.
Hmm.
So somewhere in there, there's a balance.
My mom was an
Yeah, go ahead.
instance in being torn up by her understanding of her failures.
Hmm.
Yeah. I have a challenge to try to keep my negative understanding constructive and it be a gift rather than a tearing apart. But compared to my mom, I got it easy. And so it's an appropriate challenge for me. It wasn't appropriate for the level of mom's. She didn't choose it. She got it forced onto her in lots of ways I semi-understand. But
Mhm.
that was scary.
Yeah, scrupulosity, wasn't that the people get so hooked on their negatives they just go off into it. Scrupulosity, I think was called.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about the role of judgment in all of this and how much judgment we assign to whether we look at the evil or the negative side, it's a judgment that's causing us to say it's negative.
Mhm. That's true.
Or and vice versa with the good part. So what happens if you get rid of the judgment?
Hmm.
Ideal, ultimate humility.
I don't know if you can.
Probably not.
As humans, we put these things in categories. We put labels on everything that we do,
Hmm.
either good or bad, or
Are you saying, Ellen, that if we take away our judgment of others, that it may affect them?
I think judgment, period, of yourself, of others,
Over
what's
yourself,
going
others.
on
Okay.
to anything. It just, I don't know the role of it. I mean,
Okay.
obviously, as humans, we do it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it was learned. I don't know, but that to me seems to cause more issues. If it just is, what happens?
That's an interesting question, because when we say uh, we would like to suspend judgment, are we also saying suspend the ego?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
And that's that's a very interesting concept.
Mhm. That makes sense, Frank.
Mhm.
They're like human tendencies that really aren't any. I remember in the book about shame. Shame has no positive outcomes, but yet it's something we all do. Same with judgment. It's like a human nature thing, but it's not. It's on the wrong side of the equation, I guess, if you want to say. So you minimize
Well,
it.
I'm sure glad we've gone back. Go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah, well, I wonder if we've been taught about shame rather than it be a human quality.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
Be
I think
good or else. That's the
Yeah.
rule for most of us growing up.
Mhm.
I don't remember feeling shamed. Yeah, but I know I've known a lot of other people who do feel that. Yeah, but
And yet, some who are without shame seem pathological.
yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, that's going for the ego instead, then I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm also thinking guilt and shame are not the same thing
No,
in my
No.
way of thinking. They're very different.
right.
And guilt can even be a problem if you're feeling guilty when there's nothing to be guilty over. But it's also very important for you to be able to, at least for me, to be able to kind of see where I'm missing it,
Mhm.
for lack of a better way of saying it. But and so then then guilt is a very good thing because it leads to change behavior. But it's a
Guilt is
tricky
when you
kind of
do
thing.
something.
Yeah.
Guilt is when you do something wrong, and this is the way I've heard it. Shame is when you feel like you are something wrong.
Oh.
It's interesting.
works pretty well.
Bonnie accuses me of becoming apoplectic over guilt.
Mhm.
What's
I call it as Catholic guilt.
That's
Yeah, every
Jane.
morning after a party, I'd call everybody and apologize.
That's shame all over there.
I'm sorry. Oh
It just
dear.
must have been
Any
a good
more on
party.
evil and evolution?
For me, it's a
I
challenge to
won't
wake up in
tell
the
you
morning.
about pardon? Go ahead, Bob.
For me, it's a challenge to wake up in the morning after a difficult dream, in which I looked at stuff and some of my shortcomings, and not go into quote guilt, but rather trying to deal with reality and grow because of that understanding, rather than become less because of the negative stuff.
Hmm.
Sometimes I make a little progress, other times, well, try another day.
Well, you can't beat the altitude.
Yeah. Well, two of the things that keep coming up in this is that we need to make choices and decisions. That's our obligation in this, not just to be floating along in life and have things happen at us and accept other people. We need to make a choice in how we want to be and make a decision about that. What do you want to do with that? No one ever told me that before. This is like, oh, I never thought of it.
Makes sense.
Thanks.
Well, we taught, or actually it was more of a discussion, but with the confirmation kids, we told them love is a decision, not an emotion. And that goes with what Bonnie says. It's a choice. We choose to love. It's not something that just hits you.
That I think, Greg, is the preamble for the next section. Made whole by love. Unless there's some other unsaid gem in the last section.
I have an aha in this section.
Great.
One short sentence. Very early on, like in the first paragraph. Love personally incarnate in every aspect of matter is the Christ.
Wow.
That one sentence upends everything. And she has been explaining all the ramifications of that one sentence.
Yes.
Right. How
A
do
lot
you
of
get
nods.
there?
A lot of nods, Chuck.
True,
So,
but how do you get
Other
there?
Ellen, please.
So what I had this section was interesting to me, and there was a whole paragraph towards the end that I got really fascinated with. But the question that came out of it, what is love? What is love? Do you have a definition? I have a lot of descriptors of love. Taking care of others, all this. I have the descriptors, but I don't have a definition of love.
Help Ellen out, people.
Bishop Barron says it's willing the good of others as other, I think is how it goes. You want the best for them just because of them as who they are, I think is what he means.
So
Others?
that's a human-centric definition. That's not how I read this sentence. I read this sentence as, well, she's using capital L, love is the driving force of the universe, which is the Christ, because Christ is the driver of evolution, but knows where it is going. Right? Is the alpha and the omega. But love is not our personal subjective experience. Well, I shouldn't say that. Yes, we can internalize that force, or we have internalized that force. We can acknowledge it. It's way bigger than us. But in that sentence, I view that capital love as more of a cosmic love, a driver of the universe, not a human emotion.
So it's a spirit.
You can use spirit, you can use God. She said Christ.
Mhm.
Right.
Others on Ellen's question.
I
Go ahead, Joanne.
I will just say that the article that was shared, I kind of forget anything about love and political power, the evolutionary path to unity, that was from Ilia, and I was like, okay, reading this made me feel like, okay, now I understand the book. But anyway, I mean, I ended up printing it out because I was sort of having so much fun reading it. And it was early on. She says this movement is driven by love, not as sentiment or morality imposed from without, but as the most basic energetic principle of reality itself. The physical structure of the universe is love. And she's quoting Teilhard. And in reading this whole article and then coming back to this chapter, I still struggle with it's like, okay, I mean, it's all about energy, and this is being summarized as love in terms of the kind of energy that is driving expanded consciousness and connection and unity.
Mhm.
And so philosophically, I get that. And practically, it's like then there's so much struggle, always has been, seems to be current, and maybe always will be. I don't know. Um, why is this so hard? So, no, I can't answer Ellen's question. I'm just saying, okay, this is what she said that he said.
Mhm.
But practically speaking, I don't know, but I'm trying to live more that way. But day to day, if I turn on the news, man,
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of people are clearly struggle with this concept.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, too many of them are in positions that relate more to the last section of this book that we just talked about.
Mhm. Evil.
Yeah.
So now we
Well,
have to help Joanne. Go ahead, Jean Ann.
I'm struggling with what feels like contradictions between the evil and evolution and the made whole by love section. I believe that God is in process, but God always remains all good to me. And was I understanding that there can be evil found in God? Is that what
That's
I?
the tough one. That's the tough one. That's the one I tried to explain a moment ago, Jean Ann, and I
I
certainly
still
don't
didn't
have
get.
the answer. That there is what others have said, the shadow side of God. And that's why we're in this game together, in this game of co-creation, in facing the evil that sometimes overcomes Joanne and overcomes humanity. We may not make it. And I think, Chuck, you made reference to this in one of our earlier meetings. We're not the be all and end all of creation, and we may screw it up. And we are screwing it up right now because we have not recognized the divine in that matter of our cosmos and are not moving to protect it. We're not moving to grow in it. And that's the aha that I had, that God isn't the omnipotent God. God is the one crying out for help in the divinization.
mhm.
Pardon me for.
I totally understand and agree with all of that. I have to keep backing up. Are we saying that some evil resides in the God of goodness?
Oh, no, no. The God of goodness is all good. Yeah, here. Do I know? Hell no, I don't know the answer to that question. But uh, God is love. God is the force of goodness. Yet God hasn't perfected it, and it's our job to help that happen.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay.
maybe there is no evil in God, but God is complete wholeness. And the journey to complete
Better,
wholeness is what
better.
we're on. And as long as we're incomplete, that's where the evil lies. That's kind
Like
of what
it,
I'm thinking.
Greg. Greg, like it, Greg.
Yeah, I like that, Greg. I mean, I'm maybe similarly discontented to Ellen and wishing that I had a nice, tidy definition that would just help set things straight. Um, a few thoughts rattling around in there. I've on the side been reading a book by the theologian Walter Wink called The Human Being. And in it he's going through all these places where Jesus in the Bible describes himself as the Son of Man. And he says, really, that title, rather than being some sort of, impressive specific title to Jesus, could fairly just be translated basically like the human person. And so he's really
Yes.
trying to tease out what is Jesus saying about his humanness and how Jesus had that humanness in common with all of us, and how we should think about then ourselves in that. And so I'm not through the book yet, but that vein of really trying to get my head around what it means that Jesus was completely human, in a way that we didn't all traditionally grow up thinking about, and how that plays into this discussion about God as love being incomplete or not fully mature, or whatever words like Teilhard uses and Ilia wants to use. Um, that's an interesting thought to me there. The other thing I've been listening to when we talk about this love, and somebody started with a definition that was kind of human centric. So I was listening to. I'm going to make it sound like I spend way too much time reading and listening to like serious heavy stuff, and maybe I do, right? But uh,
It was one of your
Miroslav
faults. I
Volf,
noticed right away,
yeah,
Chris.
yeah, definitely one of my faults. So Miroslav Volf from Yale or wherever he's at, right? But he gave the Gifford lectures this last year, which is funded thing on natural theology. But his focus on these lectures was about um, loving the world. And he played with different aspects of love and some of the definitions that we've all read and grown up with, but talked in more depth about the idea of that that kind of divine love, not just as human to human, but humans to all of creation, right? In a way that I feel like jives a lot with what we've got here in this chapter
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
wanting, appreciating the other for itself and wanting its wholeness and working toward its wholeness. And that feels a lot like what Teilhard talks about here and what Ilia talks about here of that love being that propulsive force towards wholeness and completeness. So I don't know how to put all those pieces together yet, but that feels like it's in the right direction to me.
Yeah.
Can I give you a holy crap?
If you want to go listen to the lectures, the Yale Divinity School has a podcast, and they put his talks on his lectures on the podcast. I spent a good bit of time running this summer listening to those.
So
Great.
thank you, Chris. I think this is related, but and maybe synchronicity, but I'm part of a Margaret Wheatley course. Some of you are familiar with her from her old leadership stuff, but right now she's but actually, we're finishing a course called Partnering with Life, and the gist of it is that humans are just a tiny bit of life and the universe, and it's really not about us. It's about energy in all of its forms, and not just on this planet, and how long energy exists in different ways, in different forms. I'm summarizing it horribly, but it's about our relationship to other, and a book, Unseen Beings. You probably can't see the but it's Unseen Beings, how we forgot the world is more than human. And so it kind of gets at the same thing. And if we go back to some of our early conversations about quantum physics, and everything is energy and everything has intelligence. It's not the kind of intelligence that we grew up in our public schools saying, well, we're the intelligent ones.
Yeah,
No,
right.
There are single cell things that have self-organizing systems. And then there, of course, the trees and the forests and all of that underground network. And there's an intelligence in everything because there's energy in everything. And it's how we relate not just to each other, but to that. And I feel like the more we can remember that there's all of this other stuff going on around us and how to relate to that, at least in my mind, is trying anyway to help, that then it helps me relate to other humans. It's like, what's big and important and what's small and passing. And, um, I'm not good at putting words with all of that. It's sort of feelings and ahas and recognitions I'm still sort of trying to sort through. But this sort of the energy and intelligence of unseen beings is I'm really sort of trying to absorb and incorporate it with this reading, that what we're doing in this group, and I think these more recent chapters have resonated more with me because I feel like they're getting more to that, all the other stuff. And what is God? It always comes back to me, what are we talking about when we say what is God? Is this omnipotent being, or is it just having to do with this unifying energy field? What is it that connects us? What makes us go, aha? What puts us in awe? And when I'm in awe, I don't necessarily, well, I shouldn't say that. I probably do say thank you, God. But I think what I'm saying thank you to is forces in the energy around me that's, I guess we can call God. It's not the one I grew up with in church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The synchronicity is so apparent in what you just said, and the words to describe it are so clear, Joanne. I think that's marvelous. Excuse me for preempting.
Yeah.
Well said, Joanne. Well said.
Joanne?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I just like to say my understanding of God is spirit, which means a lot of what's being said here doesn't fit very well with my way of thinking, which is fine. It still stretches me. But as you were talking, Joanne, one of the ways I had not put together spirit and energy quite as clearly as I got that as I was listening to you. The spirit is an energy. I mean, I sense it as an energy, but I hadn't thought about using that at the base, the spirit being energy. So that will give me something to chew on and play with in the next little while to see if I can find some more explicit ways to talk about spirit that may help other people understand what I'm talking about. I don't know. Anyway, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Other reflections on what
Yeah,
Joanne's brought to us.
made me think of it. Now I can't think exactly what your term is, but this driving force, this love that pushes. Somewhere else, Teilhard says that when everything else is stripped away, if you lost everything, everything is fleeting. But one thing that I would propose is the definition of love. That's the push, the motivational force. But separate, what I kept coming to and what's coming from the discussion about the human inability to access the numinous and how quickly I could do someone else's confession and not find the luminous. If you remember Eddie Hillisman, who was the young girl in the Holocaust, and I looked it up, and her words are this. One thing, she wrote this in 1942, July, one thing is becoming increasingly clear to me, that you cannot help us, speaking to God, that we must help you to help ourselves, and that this and that is all we can manage these days. And also, all really matters, that we safeguard that little piece of you, God, in ourselves, and perhaps in others as well. So this business that Ilia talks about, humans' ability to access the numinous, is really landing for me here. And what my simple job might be here as a human is to safeguard peace, and safeguard that love. I think, and maybe you found it too, that everything is going, and you still woke up in the morning. I don't know if you've had that in your life, but losing everything. And then what keeps waking up? What keeps pushing me forward? It's something to contemplate on. But there is Eddie Hillisham in the middle, knowing that she's going to be exterminated, seeing her friends, family, all these people go. All that really matters is we safeguard that little piece of you. Why? Because we're entangled, because that's the only hope. That's what we have. And that's our work, to continue to be searching for the luminous inside of us so that whatever happens after that. Okay, that's all. I just want to share that quote off my soapbox.
You know, Andrea, thank you for that thing from Eddie too, because on page 180 on she says, we have yet to realize that the mystery we call God is personal rather than a person. God is the personal divine depth, eminently transcendent within every aspect of cosmic life. God is the personal mystery, the ground of every single human person. And that's what I heard in your reading from Eddie too. So people have been figuring this out. I'm a little behind.
We're on the cutting edge, Thelen.
I've been reading this book by Thich Nhat Hanh, a Buddhist guy, and in the very first chapter is about the breath and how you breathe mindfully, and what it's all about is when you can become completely in the moment and through your breath and just be right in that one place. That's where he calls it the great awakening happens, which is kind of like heaven in a way. So it's like you go inward to this one spot, and then it's everything comes from that. Then I can see it in everybody else more easily. If I can first kind of feel it, see it myself. And I've been trying to do this breathing mindfully thing, and it's hard to do consistently, because this and that and it happens, and boy, then you're excited and upset, and 3 big breaths. bring me back to that. And then the further you go into it, then you can kind of see that. Remember that thing, I am a drop in the ocean and I'm also the ocean.
Yeah.
It's like it's both ways.
Mhm.
And that seems like the theme of this, of all these religions and stuff, is it's kind of like that. And it's hard to do, but it's really, here's the example. I'm driving back from Kansas City to Columbus one time, and I'm stressed out by the end. Indiana's terrible. Construction and lots of trucks. And so, but the last time I've been practicing on this breathing. So every time somebody does something, big breaths, big breaths. And I did it 100 times coming back. And by the time I got back, I was relaxed. I was tired, but I had kind of maintained that inner peace, through them breaths. It was, and my wife's like, "Oh my God, you were so much better this time." She was about to get out of the car and walk the last time. So, it's really kind of cool, but it's sort of delicate and hard to hold on to. But it's like, boy, peace at your fingertips. So, very, very worthy of going after. So,
Thanks for that prescription.
Yeah.
Mhm. Others were in the section, although Ellen rightfully drifted toward the next section and that one quote, but anything else in the section that Chuck started us out with was the one sentence, made whole by love, before we then collectively move on to salvation as individuation.
What are you moving on to? I'm lost.
Moving on to, when you're ready, page 178, salvation as individuation. Thanks for catching that, Bonnie.
78. Oh, okay.
You with us?
Yeah, got it.
Good. Which leads me, by the way, if I may, to a question. Because I'm seeing the term salvation used over and over again in this chapter, and this section uses it and as its introduction. What the hell is salvation? I mean, I know the old definition of salvation. It was getting me to heaven.
Salvation.
It's not
Healing might be involved.
Say again, Bob.
Healing might be involved
Like
in the
that.
definition.
Sure. Help me out here.
Well, salvation.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead, Bob.
I say, I don't know that healing is a total, but healing certainly for me is part of salvation. The term salvation is involved with, I think, salvation, salve, healing. I didn't, because it seems to me to be made whole is to be healed in some significant kind of way.
I sure like that, Bob.
And I would go along that. I was thinking about, biblically speaking, salvation needs to be made healed, to be healed. It's really, as Bob was talking, or to be made whole, or maybe in very everyday terms, everything's going fine, everything's going good for you. Yeah. So that, for me, is kind of the basic understanding of salvation. I know the salvation from sin and being able to get to heaven. I know that's there, and I certainly heard that. I may have even felt that way at one time. It probably, I don't know for sure, but once I understood what that word means, basically going back to the Hebrew rather than the Greek, or the Aramaic, but then that had a whole different feel to me, a much more holistic sort of feeling. So Just tossing that in when we think about
Well,
salvation.
tossing in the kernel that certainly I'm looking for, which is tying in by salvation is being made whole.
Yeah.
If that's the only definition, it fits right into what we're reading.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
wouldn't
that
offer it
helps.
as the only one, but I would certainly offer
Okay.
it as part.
Sure.
And that's how Ilia defines it in the chapter we just skipped over. She says salvation is the process of becoming whole.
Yeah.
By widening relationships through love.
See, I just don't read deep enough, Chuck. Damn it. Thank you.
On love, as one part of love, it seems to me, is we understand more deeply. To love somebody, I think we need to be in the process of coming to more and more understand them. If we don't understand, it's hard to love somebody you don't understand. It's hard to love ourselves if we don't understand ourselves at least a little bit.
Right, but I can't find the quote, but doesn't she juxtapose that with our personal ejection plan or our personal escape plan?
Say more.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's yours, Chuck?
Plan is against unity.
Like, hey, I don't know about you, but I'm going to follow things here, and I'm going to be good. I'm going up.
There is no up. There's no down. There's no up.
I know.
You're getting the check, Chuck. You got the check, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for helping me with that. And are we ready to move on to salvation? But even in the section you refer to, made whole by love, on page 176, for instance, where I think one of my biggest aha paragraphs, if you don't mind me reading, the old savior model stifles us because, and I'm in the middle of 176.
Got it.
Because it fails to enkindle God's superabundant love within us. The same love moving the universe toward more life. The old savior model has created fearful, frightened, guilt-ridden, say Steve, who are more concerned with going to heaven and avoiding hell than with the health of the planet, the atrocities of racism, the wounds caused by gender inequality, or just the importance of plain common courtesy, without being overly, to say the word again, judgmental. We cannot be saved, Teilhard wrote, except through the universe and as a continuation of the universe. I can, as maybe you quoted, I can be saved only by becoming one with the universe. That's wholeness.
Right, that's salvation.
So simple, yet so profound.
No aspect of life can be saved alone. We'll all of us, including our what do they call it in forest therapy? All and everything will be saved, or none of us and nothing will be saved.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I guess that's what I've loved about a lot of this contemplative angle of thinking is stuff like religious wars or racism or any kind of scapegoating. It just is nonsense. It doesn't even make sense when you think about it this way. And boy, that'd be certainly nice if that was widely spreadly thought that way, I think. So just keep talking about it. It's the truth, truth will stick.
That's very profound, Greg, in my own view, and that's what our job is.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems insurmountable on the one hand, but yet what does the pebble dropped in the pond do? And what are the energies that it creates?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've come to believe. morphogenic fields or whatever they are.
Mhm.
Well, and these last couple points are also reinforced on page 182.
Good, Jane. 182.
182, near the bottom of the first paragraph, where she says, for Jesus, deeply centered wholeness is everything. The mind directs the heart to see God in everything. Sin is a failure to see and thus a failure to love. And I think to your point, Greg, you know, it becomes ridiculous as our vision widens or deepens, depending on the situation, some of the difficulties, and in other places throughout. I don't know if it's this chapter and into 10. She also mentions the importance of seeing. And
this brings us back to Frank's opening.
Yes, that's just, yep.
Say more about that, Jane Ann.
Well, when Frank wanted to go back, when we started out, he wanted to go back to evil and evolution, but then talked about page 173 and the human's inability to access the numinous seems to reverberate in projected anger and so on. And Frank said, and I wrote this down, his prayer daily is, Lord, that I may see. Lord, that I may see.
Yeah. The prophets among us.
Just to add a little bit as we were thinking about the salvation, and really, this is only a few sentences past what you were, Steve, what you were reading a little bit ago on the digital, so it's a different page. But
sure.
Salvation is the process of becoming whole by widening relationships through love.
Yeah.
And I was struck by that. It's one of the things I highlighted. But as you were talking, and I searched for some phrase, and that's how I find it of the digital. But
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that in pulling those connections together. In one way, when Steve, you posed that initial question about like what is even salvation, or what does that mean? And of course, those words have so much baggage with them, depending on where you grew up theologically, right? But even if we think about it as saved as being like Joe just read, to that wholeness or that fullness. Right. And if we want to think about saved from the bit that Frank started us with, saved from that internal warring that leads to external warring. That's really helpful to me.
Wonderful.
Yeah, if you go back to our salvation is through suffering, right? Through the cross.
No.
So then suffering is, in this language, becomes like unwholeness. And so that's when we suffer, when we aren't whole. But when we suffer, search and hunt for that wholeness, we find salvation. So that's like 100-year-old, traditional Christianity, salvation through suffering. So
yeah, no, I would say salvation through suffering is very much a Catholic concept.
Yes.
I do not believe that. I believe that what Jesus did was to help us not have to suffer. And so when we think about suffering as a positive thing, I'm thinking this seems to be the opposite of what Jesus was trying to do. Now maybe it's not, but that's how it hits me.
Not that Joe or I think probably would not see some suffering in Jesus' life. Yes.
Oh yes.
It wasn't about suffering. Suffering is a part of it, but if you care and love, you're going to suffer. Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's inescapable, but at least there's a silver line to it.
Yeah, but suffering is not the end all.
It's a pathway to peace.
It may be a pathway.
I'm a professional mediator. And let me see if I can use my skills in this. I love it when we see things a little differently.
Yeah.
Don't want to mediate that for a minute.
Right.
Same. Amen.
Yeah.
There's also the saying that we suffer because we love.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, it's this
Yeah.
variation. It is makes things better. It's good that we all don't see it the same. That's
Yeah.
good.
It comes to willingness.
Mhm.
Mm.
say more about that. Comes to willingness. Say that again.
Yeah, so we want to walk with a difficulty or someone in a difficulty. It's their suffering and being close to that suffering because you love that person or love that
Mm.
earth or something. You know, you share in that suffering then
Mhm.
because of love. And maybe that's why, I don't know. I'll stop there. Just gonna
That's the
say, God,
that's the one
But
thing
isn't
we
it
all
true that
do share is suffering. We all
if
suffer
love
it, sort of, you know?
if
So,
love is the unifying energy, that which draws bodies together and complexifies. I mean, love draws us to be willing, I suppose you could say.
Mhm.
But love
Anything
also,
else? Thanks, Bob.
sometimes brings on suffering.
Mhm.
When we care for somebody or interact with somebody and are not able to be totally understanding and caring.
Well, and don't we suffer as Joanne does and has said in a fractured world, in the absence of unity?
Amen.
Mhm.
And
Uh,
isn't this where God suffers with us?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
well
definitely.
said.
Definitely.
Yeah. And isn't the fracture of our union the real essence of evil, if you will? It's separation. It's the opposite of unity. And I think those are the absolute forces that are so frustrating in these days.
I'm compelled. Oh,
Go ahead, Joanne. I was
um,
talking about you. You get to defend yourself.
well, there's this whole notion of suffering and evil, and what Jean Ann and Steve, what you just said, it just launched me into a memory of. So there were a series of books out a few years ago by Neil Donald Walsh called Conversations with God. And in the conversations, someplace in there, he was asking God about the Holocaust and Adolf Hitler and it's this notion that God has the power to do this or do that or whatever. And the question to God was, why didn't you stop him? And her,
Mhm.
in this case, her answer was, why didn't you?
Yeah.
And so it was about, I'm sort of trying to tie some threads here together, which I probably won't do very well, but it had to do with if there's human suffering, who's responsible for the human suffering and who's responsible for stopping it? And I thought, oh, that made so much sense to me about, okay, that was 1940, blah, 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 and Adolf Hitler and World War II and the Jews and the Holocaust. And I was like, damn it, it's still happening
Mhm.
and we still can't stop it,
Mhm.
um, and it used to kind of be mostly we could look at other countries and say, why can't we stop that? And I was like, we can't even stop it in our own country.
Mhm.
And so this notion of what God is, God suffering, is there evil in God? Is there and the connection between the human and the divine and what Jesus came to do or what any other of the messengers showed up to try to do to show us to ourselves. Um, that comes back to me so much. Why didn't you stop it? Well, we still haven't figured out how. There's awful things happening, and humans are doing it to other humans, and other humans seem to be incapable of stopping it. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that in terms of this conversation, but what is salvation? What is love? What is evil? Um, and what are the unifying energies? And I still feel like, but yes, and there's energies that are fracturing that, which then could take me down towards Star Wars and you know the forces of evil in the universe. There's a great disturbance in the universe, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. And I was like, yeah, well, it's happened every day. And we can't seem to, with all of our intelligence, we cannot seem to stop it. So now I'm in a rant, so I'll stop.
Can I get you, Joanne, to think for just a fleeting moment that what we are doing right this minute is aimed at solving that problem?
Mhm.
Is that delusions of influence?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's all of us are wrestling on this. We're wrestling together is important.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so you
Thank
guys,
you.
you guys
Thank
know the
you.
12-step programs. You've heard of the 12-step programs, right?
Mhm.
Well, the first step never happens until it's the, what do they call it? The
Hit
when you
bottom.
hit rock bottom.
Hit bottom.
And what happens rock bottom maybe is what's going on with us because it's just ridiculous, correct?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happens with addicted people. They do, the most stupid things that they know at some level isn't really good for them, and they do it anyway. But finally, you wake up in a ditch and drunk with your engine running, and it's like, holy crap, I gotta do something. That's rock bottom. Well, maybe there's a lot more talk about this sort of thing than ever was when I was younger. And all this science of psychology and, quantum physics. And I just feel like we're ready to bust into a whole new way of doing things. And,
Mhm.
that's my hope, but it's just kind of really ugly until you get to the rock bottom too. So,
Mhm.
God, I love that. I love that. Excuse me,
Yeah.
Joanne.
No, I'm glad you said it. And I acknowledge that we are seeing evidence of people saying enough. There are things that we need to stand up for, not just stand up against, but stand up for. And we are seeing that, fortunately. So
And you are leading in that, if you don't mind me saying. That's your raison d'etre, Joanne.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, sure you do.
You're
I
doing
mean,
good. That's what he's saying. You're
that's
doing
your
good.
out there. You're doing.
Joanne, it's the yellow vest you wore made people cross the street and
The No Kings
not.
rally.
I mean, you're just a little person and you stop people because you believe.
I wish I could have a yellow vest.
You
People
can get
listen to
one.
me.
You can get one.
Yellow vest would give you too much power, Steve. Yeah,
That's right. I'd be dangerous.
He wouldn't know how to handle it.
yeah, too much there. So maybe one little light bulb for me here that I want to try on just to see if I can articulate it in a way that resonates with anybody else. As we've talked about I heard the phrase here about God suffering with us, and that's language that I've wrestled with trying to figure out what that means over the last months and years, I suppose, right? But the mini light bulb here maybe is if we talk about God as the propulsive unifying force of love, then to the extent that we as fractured humans are resisting and not just missing but sort of actively fighting against that in at times, that unification and that wholeness and oneness, that is God suffering, right? Because God is compelling us, or not compelling, that is too forceful, but impelling or calling us towards and moving us towards that unification, and to the extent that we're fighting that, and that we're working against it, that is, in the sense, God suffering with us, and sometimes that's us doing it ourselves out of our own messed upness, right? And some of it is our suffering because the world is full of broken, non-whole
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're all saying the same thing in different ways. It's excellent.
Yes. I'll join in Bob's thumbs up. Thank you, Chris.
I just wanted to add a little bit to this. It's not particularly profound, but I have always found, I found even as a child, Jesus on the cross saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? That sense of suffering with, it's been very important to me. So I'll just share that. That's where that, for me, that's where that comes from. And as a child in the community I grew up in, there were Good Friday services, which included that. And then later as a pastor, if I participated in those services, reflecting on the word of Jesus, I always chose that passage. Wow. So it's been a very, very meaningful thing for me to think, even as I think of God as spirit, even as I think in terms of that spirit suffers with me and knows the agony. And so, yeah, I just thought I'd share that as.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Well, at least
I feel the same way.
there are 14 people here in this group that are questioning and talking about and thinking about this together. It's kind of a neat thought.
It's marvelous.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And I think each of us are part of other groups having similar conversations and questions. And right, Ellen? Right, Jean Ann?
Yeah.
All of us. Yeah, I think all of us are. And so it's not just us. I know it's bigger. Yeah.
So true. And isn't it interesting that the next two sections are, the second section is new church.
Yeah.
And that within these sections is the prescription. It seems to me, at least the prescription that I certainly identify with. And, it's bringing together lots of what we talked about. But is there anything else that you want to cover in salvation as individuation? It took me a long time to come to grips with the term of individuation because I thought that was speaking of separateness. And it took me a long time to beat my way out of that. And I think I've succeeded. But anything else in that?
What does that mean to you, Steve?
Well, what it comes to me now is the individuation of God is the individuation of ourselves. It's really growth. It's the opposite of separation, because individuation is development, and it takes a village, if you will. And it even speaks here of the individuation of God, which is the advancement in the growth and the evolution of all that is.
Yeah.
That's
kind of a misleading word, really.
Well, yeah, because I'm hung up in the old translations, and it's so true here. And there's a number of words like, there's slipping in and out of calling Christ him. That is really kind of got me all bollocksed up. And then I realized we all struggle to get out of the old language and into the new church. And we've got to be able to forgive and forget and move on. At least that's my own rationalization of some of these things. Chuck?
Well, in this section, and I'm in the Kindle, so I don't have the page numbers, but it's toward the end of this section.
Salvation and individuation, or excuse me.
At the end, towards the end, a couple paragraphs. If God is love, then the spirit is love's dynamic energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Matter is spirit energy moving slowly enough to be seen. Another pithy sentence there.
Yeah.
You get the pith, don't you?
There is no matter. It's all energy. That's what the physicists are saying.
Yeah.
There is really no matter. It's all energy. We're sort of a limitation of our eyeballs, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And dare we leave this section without missing pith? What else might there be before we head into the church as, oh, we can't.
No, it's 7:24.
Where does the time go, people?
This is all
I
right.
so much appreciate the slowing down and taking stock, and
Yeah,
this has
me
been
too.
a wonderful gathering for me. And
Yeah.
so
We're not on a timeline. We don't have to do like a whole chapter. I mean, this is not a college
Right.
master's class, you know?
thank you, Bonnie.
Yes,
Thank you, Bonnie.
Exactly. I've been in groups where we just take it as it comes, and it's so much better than trying to stuff it in a chapter every week or whatever.
Thank you for
So
surviving
I like it too.
facilitator panic.
Right.
I'm
There's-
learning. I'm
there's-
growing.
It's almost like the last paragraph or so in this whole chapter 9. The universe is unfinished. We are unfinished. The earth is unfinished. And much to our amazement, God is unfinished as well. We are co-creators of the great movement toward Omega, the complexified wholeness of empowered life. We do not save ourselves without God, not by money or power or self-preservation. We are saved by our reconciliation with God within and without by making a conscious option for the whole. And there's more, but that's.
Are you all as excited as I am about hearing that stuff?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
It's really something to me. And it's
Yeah.
taken me so many passes through this.
Right.
But there's
And your
so
help.
much. Ilia does so much. I mean, it's almost like you could go sentence by sentence and just keep talking about them. I mean,
They're really big concepts, and it takes a long time to shift your brain.
Brain
It's just a
shifting
human
is that
limitation.
I think you're so right, Greg. It is a brain shift.
Mhm.
It's turning yourself inside out in many respects, intellectually and all the rest. So, but
It's
man,
that
is it
way
fun.
too. My first question coming in, asking all of you, how do you pray? I had the inkling of these things, and in the light of this, how do you pray? I've come across a book, maybe some of you have read it, if you're an Ignatian follower, in the spirit of Teilhard de Chardin is the new spiritual exercises. And there's the thankful examine. And I'm not very far, but it's lovely because I think we also somewhere heard that some of this taking away what we've kept ourselves warm and cozy with is like pulling one thread on a sweater and the whole thing unravels.
Yes.
So I'm trying to find another little jacket.
Or you need a needle and thread. You have to start putting them back together
the
again.
metaphors abound.
I'll have to thank you because I could not go through this material alone. And there's really no one in my community that is willing to suffer. So I'm so glad you're with me.
I tried starting groups like this, and everybody I get crickets. Nobody's interested in this stuff.
Well, the joy of gathering you guys from afar, from hither and yon, as I said, is a real blessing in this season as you say, thankfulness is my prayer.
Steve,
Yes.
yeah, I was looking at the last sentence in
I was too, yes. Go ahead.
and we will go into the future together or not at all. And at first I was thinking about that in terms, in kind of a holistic term. Then I got to thinking about the group. We will go into the future together or not at all. We're all expressing that we're finding something here that's hard to find other places. So I'm thinking that's taking it out of context, but nevertheless, I think it fits what we've been talking about. We'll go into the future together or not at all. If I have to do this alone, I'm not going to get very far.
Me either.
Yeah.
Let that be the benediction, unless somebody else can top that.
Oh, I can't top it.
Joanne, please.
No,
Oh, I didn't mean to
can't.
challenge you that way.
I can't top it. No, that's really good. I was just at the beginning of the year, I was introduced to a book or a concept called One Word, and the idea was to pick a word that you kind of live by every day. And I decided last winter that my word for this year would be curiosity. And there's been, without going too much into it, I will just say I've decided that curiosity is really hard.
Yeah.
It's this.
Life is hard, Joanne.
I know.
Life is hard.
It's the unraveling, finding a new jacket, whatever. It's like, yeah. Sometimes it's like I don't have the energy to be curious right now. But
Yeah, you do.
this has been great.
Yeah, you
This has
do.
been great.
You do.
Yeah.
We all do. Dig deep. We all need to do this.
Have the peace of the season and
Yes.
the hope of a new world and a new church.
Yeah.
Take the rest of the night off.
In
Yeah.
the
Love
new
you
year.
guys.
Yes.
New year.
Yes.
See you in the new
See
year.
you in January.
Thank you, everyone.
Good seeing you guys.
Good